Let us commence. PC crash imminent. Hello, everybody. Welcome to
Hey, good to see you all. Seeing
the
loads of people pop in. Yay!
I think fifth
Not bad.
AMA. We've got quite the series running at the moment. Ben, Ben, let me just temporarily mute Ben.
While he sorts out the fact that he is just a tone.
He's just a tone. Nice introduction there, Ben. Everyone, this is
Yep.
Ben.
Ben, he's friend of R2D2's.
Today we haven't actually discussed how long this is taking the AMA for today, but I suspect it wouldn't go on longer than 60 minutes. That's what I've penciled in. But we have got quite a few questions. We have had a busy month, a busy 2 months, so we've had a lot of questions come in about land ownership and the purchase of plots and what the future is. But we also have a few things that we would like to announce or introduce Ben to you, and we'll do that at the back half of the AMA. But because we're so pressed on time, let's get started with the first question, and probably the most interesting, most talked about question over the last few days, and that is these server kicking issues. There seems to be quite a few of them, and people are mentioning that they're getting kicked quite a few times. So what's causing them? Do we know what's causing them? And are we looking into it at all, Chris and Sam?
Yeah, I've been looking into it. I've fixed a few issues with it, so I think it has got better for some people. And we have some more improvements to come soon. I think there wasn't any one thing that went in that has suddenly started creating kicking issues. I think it's just Infiniverse is getting bigger, and there are certain holes in it that become evident the more people are in there and the more they walk around and things like that. So they're just starting to reveal themselves. A couple of people have kindly let me test their accounts who have got lots of properties and things. So hopefully I'll be able to test against those next week, and we'll be able to see if there's any further problems specifically related to accounts.
Yeah.
But we're on it. We're looking at it. We acknowledge there's a serious problem,
and
we're trying to fix it.
We do appreciate a lot of people trying to figure it out themselves and kind of pointing us in the right direction or the general direction of what they think might be causing it, with the beam trick that people have been talking about. It's definitely helpful. So if you notice any particular points in which you've been playing that suddenly kick you out, let us know, because it will definitely point us in the right direction.
We do test stuff, so when you guys say things, we go in there. Just today, I was running across the Infiniverse from one end to the other. I think I went about 160 plots wide across out into the desolate wilderness to try and see if that would trigger a crash. But we've not been able to trigger that crash ourselves yet. So yeah, please give us insight, give us ideas. We listen to it all. We laugh at some of them, but we take some of them seriously.
I think we mainly laugh at my ideas, but
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. And the next question that we've had is, what's happening with these skyscrapers? People are buying plots now, and they've got a few skyscrapers on there. What's the future of those skyscrapers looking at? Can users maybe buy or edit them for future and maybe get a profit for them when they're sold or used by other people?
So yeah, the idea of skyscrapers hasn't changed much. I'm going to let Chris talk about the technical reasons for where we're at with it and what we're going to be doing. But yeah, they're definitely part of the Infiniverse, and you should definitely be looking to get excited about what they'll be able to do in the future. Chris, do you want to talk about what our plans are?
Yeah, I mean, I think skyscrapers aren't that complicated. Like we kind of see them as the super storefronts, if you will. They will support doing what storefronts can do, but with a cooler interior, and obviously the branding at the top as well. We haven't got them working yet, mainly because there's some technical difficulties with making that branding at the top look really awesome. Although, as San was pointing out today, like skyscrapers with blurry branding is probably better than no skyscrapers. So they're definitely on the list to get working, and they will be very, very much like super storefronts is the way I think of them. The next level of storefront. Storefront isn't enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to buy a skyscraper and put my face right at the top for everyone to see all across my plot.
Yeah, and of course you get your view from the top as well, so it's
Oh, yeah.
they are cool.
They are cool. They do give you that penthouse view feeling, and they're very cool. I mean, our idea is very much that those are going to be the ones that will be used by the large enterprises who feel that the storefront might not be enough. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely got them on the list. They'll be coming soon, and I think that we've all agreed as of today's conversation that it's more important we get them in a simple way than we wait until they're completely up and running and in perfect form. So yeah, they're definitely on the list.
Cool. I think that I would probably go full Lex Luthor if I got hold of that. But I don't know. I like the idea of being able to see my vast plot and all everywhere the light touches is my property. I look forward to that.
But just to reiterate, these guys are not the top priority right at the moment. The top priority is the plots and the plot editing, which we'll talk a little bit about more. So we're not going to be giving any promises as to when this stuff will be ready, but be aware that they are on our list and they will be addressed.
Exactly. Cool. The next question is to do with the image pixelation that's been happening. It's been in the app for a while. We know it's been an issue periodically. It seems to be getting better and then it gets worse. And just wanted a little bit of insight. What is causing the images to be pixelated? How are they loaded into the Infiniverse? How are they rendered? And any ideas why they're being pixelated a little bit quicker than normal?
Don't have a straight answer as to why they appear to be pixelated quicker than normal. I'm still looking into whether that's the case for everyone or whether that's certain people. The reason the pixelation occurs is any device, especially the Quest, which, though it's awesome, is kind of like a medium power mobile phone in terms of hardware, has a limited amount of memory. And when we're loading sometimes tens or hundreds or thousands of images, there's not infinite memory there. So rather than crash when it runs out of space for more images or stop loading altogether, it starts loading them at lower and lower and lower resolution. So what we're seeing there is the memory filling up. Now, I need to look at it and work out whether the problem is memory genuinely filling up just because there's lots loaded, or whether there's some kind of what we call a memory leak.
Yeah.
Stuff's getting loaded and then forgotten about.
Cool. All right, that makes sense. I mean, I figured it was something like that, but I didn't want to have to explain it and then do it incorrectly. So I'm glad you've kind of explained it a little bit better than I ever would be able to. Thanks for that, Chris.
It's kind of like the fuller the bucket memory gets, the more we squash things down to push them into it. That's a nice analogy.
Okay, nice.
It's like you're increasingly squishing things to get them into memory.
Okay.
Rather than just stopping.
That's good. Visual imagery. I might do a nice factoid image and put it in the tourist information to help people.
Before we jump to the next one,
yeah.
Dick and Nikki, got a question in the AMA I just want to address. So Trance Gemini says, does this mean that as a plot landlord, we do not actually own the skyscrapers and will have to purchase them separately? I think the key thing here is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, the skyscrapers will work exactly the same as buildings and storefronts work, apartments, penthouses and storefronts. You own the plot. That doesn't mean that you own any of those properties or whatever it is. It means you can purchase them and get 97.5% back in the purchase, but it's not actual, you don't own them. They're not yours. Your ownership is of the plot, and the properties on there are owned by other people. It could be bought by other people. Just like if you don't personally buy a storefront, it's not yours, but you will earn the coin from a purchase of that storefront.
Yeah.
Don't know if I explained that the right way or in a way that's simple and clear. But Chris, am I correct?
Yep. Skyscrapers, same as storefront, same as building. I mean, that's the summary. They will work exactly the same way in terms of fees and sales and all the rest.
Good. That makes sense. I'm glad you clarified it. I know there's been a bit of confusion over it in the last, ever since plot purchases became a thing. So I'm glad that someone asked and they've been able to clarify it. With regards to the plots, the next question is about plot protection. So we noticed, I think it was last week, the plot protection came in for purchase plots. I think it was all plots across Infiniverse. What is it exactly, and how is it going to work once editing comes live?
So I couldn't reproduce it being across the whole Infiniverse, but I may have missed something. What should be protected, what is protected, as in flagged in the database as this is a protected plot, are any pre-existing developed plots, so ones that have currently got buildings on, things like that, or any plots that neighbor them. So, the view just outside of a populated plot, for example. Those are marked as protected. And as we, I think, ran over briefly before, the basic idea of a protected plot is not that you won't be able to do anything to it, but it's that we will sit down and try and think of, we'll make sure that the only things you can do to it are, by and large, things people would consider improvements to it. So you're not going to be able to delete a really nice statue from a protected plot that people have already bought into because they like that statue. You're probably not going to be able to replace a lovely bit of greenery with a big building because people will have bought around that piece of greenery. Those are just two examples. Sam can probably list another 10. We've not got the exact details for that yet. I think the thing to have in mind is that protection is there to make it a better thing for everyone. It's not about stopping people enhancing their protected plots. It's about just preventing people making them deliberately worse for everyone.
The key example is somebody comes in and buys, I don't know, Cherry Springs, and they buy the Sakura statue and they delete it and turn it into tarmac. That we're not going to allow. That's simply not going to be possible. That's not cool. That would destroy the value of millions of properties in the area and around there. We're just not going to do that. On the other hand, if somebody, what we want to allow people to do with it is upgrade properties and plots to be better. So if somebody feels that they've got a big chunk of green in front of them, they want to be able to add trees to it, and that is going to be an increase in quality for everybody in that area that has a view out over that green plot, that's very likely going to be something that we'll be allowing you to do. So it's really about making sure that people understand that when they purchase the plot, there will be some limitations, and those limitations will probably be, if we have to err on one side of caution or not, we're going to err on the side of caution, most likely. So those are the decisions that we'll be making sort of in the last days up to launch as we continue to play with it. So we can't tell you exactly what the rule set will be today, but do know that that's the consideration, that's the thoughts that we've got. Those are the types of decisions that we're making.
That's good to know, and it's nice to know that somebody who, for example, purchases a plot now, goes offline for a few weeks, comes back, and they'll not be at risk of seeing any changes to their plot, or things will become a little bit clearer. Say, for example, you buy a house on a plot and you're buying it in that area because that thing that's on that plot is there. You'll be safe in the knowledge that your property isn't going to be massively devalued because the thing you purchased next to suddenly disappears. That's cool.
Well, in protected plots.
Yeah.
The idea of the protected plots was very much around this. Obviously, introducing land sales, we had that choice really of only release into the wild currently empty plots, or genuinely transfer the whole of the Infiniverse over to the community. And we decided on the latter because that's cooler. But it did mean we had to work out how to handle this grey area where we had things that people had been buying into that were controlled by us, who are relatively benevolent and just want everything to be better for everyone. And we're transferring that into the owner of other people that we can't necessarily tell what to do, because that's what transferring ownership is. And so these middle ground grey area things are where we've put this protection in to try and allow them to be transferred, but without spoiling anybody's experience.
That's good. Great. Thanks for explaining all that. I'm sure that's probably clarified a few things for people. Moving on to the next question is to do with the storefront. So with the release of the most recent templates from the lovely Wendy, there's been the request again to set the storefront doors to a room preference of the user's choice, so like the disco or the cafe or a gallery. Is that something that's possible or anything that we can expect?
Want to go into that, San?
Yeah. So I think it's clear that when it comes to storefronts, we're not looking to allow people to change to any type of template, because there are some templates that it just would feel weird with. However, we are looking in the near future, when I say near future, next months, to explore what other types of storefronts we might be able to make available. So Wendy and myself and some of the other team, we often discuss that. We know and understand that there's currently only one type of storefront. There's obviously different skins for that storefront, but there's only one type. We're looking into what other types there might be, and even when we add those other types, then those other types will be selectable, and you'll be able to direct people to those instead. However, we are considering letting the business and enterprise clients choose exactly which storefront or where exactly their storefront goes to. For example, you've got the joke storefronts which point to the comedy club, and that's a function and feature that was available to joke as an enterprise client. I think those sorts of decisions are very clearly ones that we can allow to happen, because that helps those companies take it a step further, but it's not something that we're going to be doing for anything. So you won't be walking in from the street through a storefront door into a gallery. We might, however, make a gallery entrance hall that equates to a storefront that can be used as a storefront and actually has windows back out into Infiniverse. Those sorts of things are things that we're discussing.
That'd be cool. I'd like the idea of that. I think the art district would like that. Cool.
We think there's a lot to be done with storefronts still. We know that. We're still looking into what those are going to be and what choices we'll make and what content. If you have requests for types of storefronts, can't promise you anything, but there's no pain in nagging myself or Wendy or some of the other people on the team to give them your ideas and say these are the sorts of storefronts you're interested in. We do consider it regularly, and we evaluate it against other tasks that we've got on our list.
I think Wendy's always looking for new ideas and new suggestions, so definitely let Wendy know if you have an idea for a storefront template. I'm sure she'd love the opportunity to collect it up and add it to potential things she could work on in the future. I think the next question is probably one that San is probably going to need to answer. It's to do with crypto and NFTs, and I know my knowledge of that is not very, very good. But do we still intend to do work with NFTs and crypto, considering the current crypto situation that's going on with the markets?
Great question. This one we could probably talk about for ages. Both myself and Chris discuss it regularly. The answer is absolutely. We, in fact, believe more in the blockchain technologies, crypto NFTs now than we did before the crash. And the crash has actually only made us feel more strongly positively disposed towards them. In our opinion, there was a lot of issues with blockchain and crypto, NFTs, a lot of scams, a lot of rug pulls, things like that. The lack of really fast money through them means that we can start looking at it as a more serious business. And over the last months, we've seen some of these things come back into light. The way that I see it is, I don't know whether you guys are aware of the what's it called? The various curves that technologies take. One of them describes this climbing up to initial peak hype, falling into a trough of disillusionment, and then climbing back out with the proper businesses
I know
established.
what you mean.
We see that as where we are right now. The NFT market, the blockchain businesses, they've gone into the trough of disillusionment, which is where all the scammers can no longer stick around. They have to pull out and move away, and the real businesses start to take the tech and move forward. And that is a very exciting time to be in a place like this.
Mhm.
If you remember, whether it's the internet and the initial dot-com boom and bust, or whether it's VR headsets and the disillusionment that came after Google released a couple of billion cardboard headsets, and now where we are today. There is this constant trend in technology where some new technology that is very powerful gets abused and misused, and then after it's collapsed, you see the phoenix rise from the ashes. And that's what we believe in, and that's what we see the industry is today. So I think myself and Chris can, safely say that we're very strongly disposed towards continuing towards that goal, and you shouldn't worry if that's something that's important to you.
Mhm.
However, there's another thing that I will say, which is that we are not a fast, rug pull company. We are in this for the long haul, and we're here for the long play. So expect us to take the decisions that work towards that bigger goal.
Mhm.
And I think you'll be seeing more information come out from us over the coming year that will be quite exciting in that area.
Yep.
So yeah, keep your hat on. Don't worry about it, and we'll be there rising with other companies out of this current mess that's happened.
Yeah.
Chris, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I could echo everything. I mean, would echo everything Sam said there about NFTs and crypto from a market perspective. But we've seen it time and time again in our industry. It's just following a curve that you could draw it on a graph and track it. But I think it's also, certainly from my perspective, it's very important to separate out the market side of crypto and NFTs and things, which is buying and how much they're worth, where they are on that graph. Are they on OpenSea? What are the markets doing right now? Have they just crashed? And the raw, just technological side, which is NFTs and crypto, just as a pure technology, are a really good way of tracking the ownership of digital assets in a secure, reliable manner. I mean, I see that much like existing companies use databases to track ownership and things like that. I think most companies, whether they're on private blockchains or public blockchains or whatever, are going to transition to using blockchain technologies to manage things. And once you've transitioned, even if it's initially on a private chain to managing your assets using blockchain technologies, it's a small step to decide it's time to open it up to the public. So I mean, I see them as in our future. I think just from a pure technological perspective, they fit a lot of what we're trying to do.
That's good. Yeah,
and it'll be really cool.
I mean, it's glad that both of you have a level head on it, because I think it's quite easy for people to jump in that situation and panic. And I'm glad to see that both of you see it for what it is, as a cycle that has occurred time and time again, and we're just waiting to do it properly, unlike scammers out there. And it's a relief. It's comforting to know that you've got that level head.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest news you've seen recently is that the banking industry in America is starting to look at how they can include and use blockchain. And that's exactly the sign of, the climb out of the trough of disillusionment. That's exactly what we need as an industry to see that this is the right place to go. It's going to give it credibility in the right way, and it's going to change the way that the industries around that work. And I think that's really, really going to be cool.
Absolutely. And yeah, totally. I mean, they are a very powerful piece of technology, and powerful pieces of technology don't disappear.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily get used correctly first time, but they won't disappear. I think they're going to be core to driving any systems across the world in the future.
Yeah, even like you pointed out, the first examples of VR were in the 70s? What was it? The Nintendo VR boy or whatever it was? And look where it is now. It took them a while to figure out it's not console based, but here we are. VR is now doing incredibly well in this technological age. We're
I'm li-
Sorry, what was
Go
that,
on.
Sam? I was going to say we're
I was-
running a bit behind, so I wanted to speed us up a bit and move us on because we've got a few more questions before the Ben bit.
Okay, well, quickly before we jump off this, I just want to address some of the answers we mentioned in the AMA chat. It's something that I talked about a little bit on Twitter and it might not be out there yet, but it is very important to remember with regards to the layoffs at Meta, that Meta laid off 11,000 people, which is horrific. And I feel, I know some of the people that got laid off.
Yeah.
I feel, the pain and the industry feels it. However, the whole industry, the whole tech industry is laying off people. Not just Meta. You've seen it at Twitter. I think IBM laid off more. They laid off something 28,000 or something stupid this year. So I think in the Silicon Valley area, there's been over 100,000 significant layoffs within the big tech companies. And the 11,000 that Meta laid off, if you look at how many employees they had before the layoffs, which was about 86,000, it's a significant chunk. It's like 13%. But 2 years ago, Meta only had 48,000 employees. So in the last 2 years, Meta had expanded massively. And in many ways, a layoff of that nature is sort of inevitable in a company of that size after a massive expansion, because they will have hired the wrong people in certain areas. They will have made mistakes in who they hired and where they went. And while I'm not saying that everybody who was laid off was a mistake, because a lot of good people were laid off, I am saying that it is not something that reflects negatively on us as a business associated with Meta, on Meta as a business. It is a blip for them. And we may even see another blip of that nature in the next year or so. And I still wouldn't feel stressed or concerned about it. So for those people who see those things and freak out, yes, it is a horrible incident. Yes, I feel passionately for the people that lost their jobs, and it's a horrible place to be. But as an industry and as a business, I think Meta is extremely stable. I think that the choices that we've made as a company to be associated with Meta and launch on the Meta platform were the right decisions. And I by no means feel that we need to panic in any way or form as a result of the layoffs.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there and make it very clear. I'm extremely confident in Meta. I'm extremely confident in what they're doing with the Quest. And I'm extremely confident and proud of being associated with that product in whatever way we are.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let's talk holes. A couple of people, I say a couple, a lot of people from the community have been pointing out there's holes here and there in buildings, in terrain. And they want to know, now that people are buying plots, will these holes be fixed? And how will they be fixed in the future for when people want to develop on these plots?
So, I have to kind of announce now, when it comes to putting buildings on plots in the future, it's going to be a lot cooler than it is at the moment. The plan is to generate much more interesting cities that can follow the topology of the terrain. So you can build a lakeside village or a canyon city with views over the mountains and things like that. So as part of that, a ton of fixes are going to go into how the terrain is generated, and I'm sure we will seal up some of those holes and all sorts of things. But there is a but. There will be a ton of new maths, and the maths is complicated, and there's a chance some new different holes will appear. But if they do, we will fix them. The tricky thing with Infiniverse is you're dealing with the sort of maths that generates Infiniverse. There's a lot of geometry in there, and geometry suffers massively from what we call edge cases, where it works 99.999% of the time, but then in this certain tiny rare situation, it just cocks up completely. The problem is Infiniverse is massive.
Yeah.
And so a rare situation is almost certainly going to occur multiple times, but it's very hard for us to find. However, I can, on a positive note, say some of those holes will definitely get cleaned up, and they'll be replaced with something much cooler. So that'll be awesome.
I'm excited about that one. I like
Yeah.
from some of the stuff that you've been discussing that we won't tell them about. It's well worth the wait from my perspective. So I think those holes are okay to tolerate for a bit, considering the cool stuff you've got lined up.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
got to say, I was in with Chris playing around with some stuff the other day, and we had a session where we were buying plots and changing plots. We were standing in the same room together, looking at each other do it and looking at the plots as they changed. And we not only was that fun and powerful and impressive to stand in the map room looking down at the mini 3D map of the world and see it change in front of our eyes, but it was also then even more impressive to jump into the world of Infiniverse and see the land having been changed to the city that we'd created and standing in the city that was there. And that was an experience that I'd never had before. That's something, there's no game in the world that comes close, or even app or anything that comes close to something of this nature. It is quite a powerful and jaw-dropping moment. The moment you come in and then see and stand in the world you created. So I got to say, amazingly cool work you've been doing there, Chris, and some really, really interesting things. And I was sitting there sort of just saying to Chris, well, ship it, ship it, ship it. I know it's all rubbish, but ship it. So cool, we've got to get them seeing it. But there are some things that need to be polished, and there are some stuff that need to be added. And from talking to Chris, the things that could get added, we're still in the process of tweaking, and we didn't play with that day. They're going to be amazing. So I can't say enough. This is going to be an extremely powerful update to the app.
And on that wonderful topic about the map, that leads us nicely into the next question that actually has been asked quite a few times. The in-app map, is it going to be updated to give indications of the borders, the plot borders in the green areas? Because I know a few people have been trying to decide whether this this area is on the plot that they want, and it's quite an eager topic from them. So what's happening with that? Hell yeah. Okay, good.
I mean, one of the reasons the map has been very stale and not changing is because, I mean, we've obviously known we were going to do this land and plot work principle for quite a while. When we didn't announce it until we were certain of it, we had it in our heads. And it has meant that I ultimately have to go back and rewrite how a chunk of the map generation works, because it needs to be able to respond within seconds to somebody modifying a piece of terrain. Like if you put down a city, it within 30 seconds at least, that city has to not just appeared instantly in Infiniverse, but the map has to be updated to show where it is and show the street names and all of that. So as I get the new map stuff in, then we'll make sure that the borders are seeable and the whole of the map will be generated across the whole of Infiniverse. It will be live, respond to changes you make. I'm actually hoping to get visualization of the natural lakes and terrain in there as well. So it won't just be green outside of cities. You'll actually be able to see the lakes and hills.
Okay, that's you and San keep talking about this, and every single time it happens, I forget to go in and check. But you both come out, and it's almost like a spiritual experience. Oh, I've seen Chris editing the plot, and it changed before my eyes. So I'm really excited to experience that same incredible moment, because you two have really hyped it to me now. But I'm excited.
It's even better than that.
It's even better than that.
No,
Okay.
it's good. It really is good, and there are going to be some really interesting results out of this. Now, obviously, again, the caveats here are that we are in the process of developing this tech. You're not going to get everything in one go. Things will continue to be updated, and you can expect updates over the year of 2023. But it's one of those things where the power of being able to provide all of us, and I say us because a lot of the edits that we're giving users the ability to make are edits that we couldn't do individually on the team. It had to be specific people on the team doing them. Those have now been opened up or will be opened up to everybody, and that's a really powerful tool because it allows everybody to take ownership and control what this world is and how it goes and where it goes. So yeah, can't hype it enough. It's going to be amazing.
I look forward to it very much. But on the subject of hype, I wanted to check this question with you guys, which is what is the future of the villages and the remaining dragon eggs? I know a few people have been asking, are we going to drop in the rest of them, or are we going to make it available for users to place on their own plots? And what's going to happen with that alien egg? Is it going to grow? Is it going to change? What's happening?
Who wants to take this one? Chris,
me?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So the goal here is we do want to let users place the eggs, and we want to take control of the ones that have already been placed, very likely. The details on it we're not going to go into. It may be one or the other, but ultimately having statues that can change or props that can change over time is something that we're going to be looking into, and we will work with the users and probably work with the ones that are in there already as the test bed for future ones. So yes, the ability to put in and place a statue that will change over time is something that we want to do. I can't tell you when that will be available. I can't tell you when that will happen, but that is a function in the future that we're excited in. And which exactly egg or where or who or what will happen first and when it's going to happen, not going to give any insight into any of that because that's going to be arm wrestling and will lead to hype cycles and stuff like that. So at the moment, let's just say things are going to be very exciting, and one of the types of statues that we want to be able to, but won't necessarily for a good few months or whatever, allow is the ability to have a statue that can be upgraded over time. That's so cool. That is, that's pretty much where we're headed. That's what we'd like to do, and the ones that are in there will probably be the test beds.
That's cool. I'm pretty sure that Ferg will be happy to know that his alien egg will be changing, and I think we shouldn't tell him when, or I don't think anybody should know. Just one day, just do it and see what happens. Surprise!
On that note, has anybody been into my den recently?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Let's leave them with that and see if they can figure that one out. Yeah. One last question before we move on to introducing the wonderful Ben, the legendary Ben. The last question is about plot editing. When terrain edits come out, what kind of terrain edits can users make? Can users create their own canyons? Because most of the existing canyons have now been purchased. So what's that going to look like?
So I think terraforming, as I think of that side of things, is further down the roadmap than some of our earlier things, which will be more about adding features to the existing terrain. I want to get to the point where people can modify the terrain to their heart's content. I don't know if anybody played Populous back in the day, but that kind of feeling is awesome. Problem is, aside from the technical, which I do have plans for, there's real tough design decisions there, because on the one hand, I want to allow people to modify the terrain, but on the other hand, we couldn't allow you to build a moat around Grand Central.
Chris, you've accepted that now.
So, no. Well, that could be worse. We couldn't allow you to write the word penis on the map with caves. Oh, shit.
You've actually thought about it. You can tell as well.
Or boobs in cities. Can you tell that I've worked in UGC for years?
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. We on Little Big Planet, we used to have a penis timer for how long after release of a new feature somebody would post a penis with it in.
Amazing.
Chris was always first, or what?
It was Chris. It was Chris going in there
yeah.
doing it. Well, it's nice to know that you're planning it methodically in a way that's gonna not destroy the terrain, but I'm hoping that it's not gonna look completely disjointed, if that makes sense. Because, say for example, someone is buying a plot to build a nice beach town view, you don't really expect there to be an icy frost kingdom next to it. So, I suppose you've got a lot of figuring out to do.
The first focus that I really want to get right with the plot modifications is allowing people to create cities or parks or whatever that fit the terrain that they've purchased. So, if you've bought a lakeside plot, I want it to feel right when you end up with a lakeside city on it. So these first attempts will all be about how do we allow you to make something beautiful that works with the existing terrain. So one of the things we've found is, like, even with a little bit of variance in just the type of thing you can put down, when you make it that thing changes based on elevation and organization and lakes nearby and things like that, you get this massive range of effects, and it's going to be good. That's where the focus will be.
Okay.
Using the existing terrain.
All right, that's good. San?
Okay. Yeah, so there's one thing that I want to mention. We've not really talked about it, but you guys can sort of see it when you look at the map. I think it is worth mentioning. We've launched land sales in a sense, or property development, and people have been out there buying plots, which is amazing. I think we just want to first of all say thank you to everybody who's participated. There have been well over 1,000 plots sold. And that's something that is more than we expected yet again. So really, really cool. Second thing is that has not been done by just one person, which was very important to us, myself and Chris. The idea that is spread out across many users. Again, you'll have seen that when you go around Infiniverse and look at the map. But that is a whole bunch of people that are, teaming up with us to help make the world of Infiniverse better, and to curate it and to look after it and to be there to make this world what we believe it will be in the future. And there's two parts to that. One, this is pretty good from all of our standpoints. Very positive news. Second is, thank you. Wow, this is great. This is so cool. As a team, knowing that the users are out there, the users are going to be helping us take this further, moving it forward, making it a better place, more interesting place, that warms our hearts. So those two things I just wanted to make sure that I put out there. We've had a lot of success, there's been a lot of purchases, and it's not just great that people have bought stuff, it's great that we know that you guys are there with us to make this better. And that's just something I wanted to throw out and thank everybody for.
Yeah, exactly. And I know there are a lot of users out there who've really taken this in their stride, and they've taken a lot of initiative and created some beautiful areas. There's communities that have really come together and created some incredible projects, and I'm overwhelmed by some of the stuff that has come out of the plot. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah. Can I just say on that as well, like I watch Discord and things more than I type on them, and some of the images, although we're not going to get there quickly, a lot of the images people put up of what they want to do with their plots, like I saw somebody had drawn on a tennis court the other day. They are inspiring, and I do look at them, and they whether or not they drive what I'm making right now, often those things will seed ideas in my head where I'm like, okay, we may not be placing down a tennis court now, but I need to make sure when I write this that we'll be able to support a tennis court in the future.
Yeah.
They are just inspiring. Like, they're exciting and nice to see. So thank you to everyone that makes them and puts them up. I like them.
That's good.
We can't do this without you guys, and we can't do it without your input. We are just a small team, and with all of you guys, we're not just a small team. We're a really massive team, and that's really cool. So,
On the subject of being a small team, we have grown recently. And gentlemen, it's
Hooray!
time to introduce the wonderful Ben. Ben, are you there?
Is he no longer a beep?
Oh, hello. No, well, I'm not a beep now, am I?
No, you are
Yay,
perfect.
Ben's
Good
here.
job, Ben. Welcome, Ben.
Wonderful.
I'm
Thank
pretty
you.
sure the
Thank you for calling me
community.
wonderful as well.
Yeah, the community has
Yeah,
been
you never
eagerly
called me
wanting to.
perfect.
Well, Chris, we already know it. It doesn't need to be said. But Ben
True.
has joined
Valid.
our team because there is a project that has been. You've been hearing teasings of it here and there. We are going to be working on a new project in addition to Multiverse that is mutually beneficial. And Ben is the lead for this. San, would you care to introduce Ben to everybody?
I think you've done about as good a job as can be done. Anything I say will just be a sort of more negative.
Oh, thanks.
Well,
Wow.
Ben, how about you
welcome
introduce
to the team,
yourself?
Ben. Gee,
Yeah.
maybe.
No,
I have noticed actually that out of the four of us up here, I'm the only one without a moderator badge on my profile. So what's that all about? I feel like I'm left out here.
It will be fixed imminently, I promise.
moderator.
It's because I made a beep initially, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I noticed that we've got a couple of dogs in the audience as well, dog
Yeah.
icons. So
Yeah.
sorry about that if that hurt your hearing, guys. I apologise up front. But yeah, as Nikki said, I'm the project lead on our new secret project, or so far secret project. That project is built on the multiverse technology, and so right now I've been with the company. I've been with Future Tech Studios for 2 or 3 weeks now, and we've been really getting into the nitty gritty of how we're going to take this tech forward and develop not only a game but other interesting cool features that will make their way back into Multiverse as well. So it's actually a really exciting time to not only get used to some amazing new technology that Chris has written, and something that is really impressive to me, but also to be part of this community and meet all of you guys, and hopefully get you looking forward to what we're going to make next.
We're really glad to have you on board, Ben. I know that
I do want to just quantify that a little bit, because I think it is true that I need to say a little bit more. We are very proud to have him on board. He is a big talent. He's a known person in the industry, and he's somebody who we have worked alongside closely with over many years in Guildford. We know him, we respect him, and we are extraordinarily proud and pleased to have him on. So from all of us at the team, we'd like to say welcome, Ben, and thank you for joining.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome, Ben.
Thank you very much.
I'm massively excited. I think it's going to be so good for everyone. I mean, having somebody of Ben's caliber join the team at any point is a huge thing. But I think at this point, especially in the studio's life, it's we're going to make another awesome product. Everything that makes that product great is going to make Multiverse better. We're going to do great things.
Yeah, I think that's worth really sort of emphasizing, and something that I've been, well, obviously as a new person joining the team, I've been getting used to how things work here, and understanding what's important, and the things we need to really emphasize and work on. And it's become really, really clear to me that the community here and the agility of being able to launch features to you guys and experiment with new things and stuff, that's a hugely valuable part of what's happening, what Chris and San and the rest of the team have built. And I think that's something that we really want to carry on doing and taking forward. So any new features we design, I think we're going to have a very wide look at how we can not only make it in one game, but see if we can stretch that kind of thing out to the whole of Multiverse, and make it bring all of the products up together, not just sort of, we're certainly not going to over focus on one thing and ignore the brilliant community we've got here.
Exactly, and that's really good to know.
Yeah, one of the other things I want to be clear on at the moment is obviously going to be leading the secret project, but which we have codenamed in honor of Chris, Project Morpheus. So if you hear us talk about something that's Morpheus-like, then you know what it's related to. But yeah, Ben has been working right now with Ollie on bringing Unity up to date and making sure that our app is progressing, and that is technology that affects both Project Morpheus as well as Multiverse and Infiniverse.
Mm-hmm.
So the value of having a whole team working on the same tech together is something that I first saw back on when I was at EA, and you could see the company make efforts to make technology that worked for FIFA as well as for Madden as well as for NHL or NFL or whatever it was, and that sort of decision is very much behind the way that we're working here. So the benefits of bringing Ben on board, benefits of working on a separate project that's using the same base code base, those are things that we're all going to benefit from. And I'm very excited to see where that goes and how it allows for us all to cross-pollinate.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of where we're at with this project at the moment. Although we can't really tell you guys too much about exactly what it is, and we obviously have our concepts that we're working on. We've got a fairly good idea internally of what that's going to turn into, but we're not quite ready to talk about that yet. So you'll have to watch this space on that.
Yeah.
But I think what I can mention now is what we're working on is taking that multiverse technology and kind of figuring out which bits are shared between this and the new game and which bits are multiverse specific, and sort of dividing up and doing loads of programmer stuff basically. But the side effect of that, as San says, is that makes both games stronger. It makes everything a more sort of solid base underneath, and we're having to do some quite interesting technical challenges to sort of find the place where we divide the wedge at the moment, but that's all part of development, I think, and it's really, really interesting. So over the next few months, you'll definitely hear more about this game, and we'll be talking publicly about what it is and the overall concept. We're not quite there yet, but I hope you'll look forward to hearing more in the future.
Exactly. And I know everybody in this call right now is extremely excited, but we have to restrain ourselves because we know we don't want to let anything slip. So no matter how hard you try, Becky, you're not getting anything out of us. And just because it is somewhat of a tradition, Ben, anybody that's in this team has to give a brief intro as to who they are, some interesting information about them, and it gets added to our dev room. So is there anything that you would like to share with everybody as to where you've come from? Any cool, interesting facts about you?
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Not to share, because there is more.
I thought there was going to be some weird induction thing that I'd have to do, some sort of like
Yeah, so did
standing on
I.
my head.
Hazing, yeah.
But
No.
this is fine, actually. But yeah, I guess some background about me. I've been a game developer for years now. I originally worked on the Xbox 360, making games for Microsoft and those guys. And after that, after we joined Activision, the company I worked for joined Activision, and then they closed the company down, as seems to be the way with these big studios now. I actually started my own mobile game developer. That was back in 2011, something like that. So back when the App Store was new and exciting and amazing, and I shipped a couple of mobile games then. And then more recently, I guess for the last 6 years or so, I've been building racing games for console. So that's all the way up to PS5 and Series X. And I just shipped a racing game a few months ago, really. So now this is my first opportunity to work on VR titles. I've not made a VR game before. And a lot of the things that you need to do for VR are kind of similar to the skill set I already have, like putting a game on the Nintendo Switch, for example. It's quite similar in terms of the optimization you need to do and things like that. So far, I'm really enjoying it. There's lots to get your teeth into. The thing that I'm sort of, I think I find the most interesting about working in video games is the combination of artistry and technical stuff, where it's sort of this marriage of two bedfellows that shouldn't really be, hanging out together. The really, really hard technical stuff is normally isolated on its own and doesn't have to deal with art messing it all up, and
Yeah.
vice versa. But I find that really interesting. So making something look good but also be efficient and play well is really interesting, and that user experience I find really, really quite a cool thing to work on. So obviously joining the team here and joining a product that's already mature is a great opportunity to sort of focus on those things and just level up as many areas as I can. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. I look forward to seeing what you come up with based on your skill set and what you've previously worked on. I can already tell you the amount of conspiracy theories that are going to come out of that, and people are going to try and guess what you're working on. I cannot wait.
Ooh. Well, if they send me a message, I might let it slip. We'll see.
No.
Don't want to say that.
Have I just opened the floodgates?
Yeah, a little bit.
The thing that's important to us as a company is that obviously getting good people on board is very important. We strive for that both from a personality and skill set point of view. And I feel that Ben fits very much within that, but also I think he brings extra things to the table which are important as well. So if you think about it as a diamond in the rough, getting polished up and having more facets to show and more sparkles to create, I think Ben is definitely going to be helping us achieve that.
Mm-hmm. I know that by having him in the team, we've increased at least 100% more Ben. And I think that already over the last month or so, you have made some significant implementations in the team that we're very much grateful. And I know that I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what the future holds.
Does that mean we can't hire any more Bens?
No, no more Bens. We'll have a Ben overflow. Amazing. So we have 3 minutes left before the AMA ends. Is there anything Chris, San, or Ben would like to say before we wrap everything up?
I think, Chris, it's important that we just address something that was posted twice by Pirate, talking about a robust website, property investment management tool set that can help every apartment, storefront, and landowner now. So, yeah, we understand that that's something that people want. We need to work out how best to do that, and I think it's important to balance that. The website is valuable. The website is somewhere that people go to, but it isn't somewhere that everybody goes to. And whenever we make decisions on what we do and how to tackle it, it's important that we think about not just the OGs or the crowd that like to hang out on Discord and the ones that attend the AMAs. But we have to balance the effort across all of the areas. And at the moment we're spending a lot of effort working on content and tech that's going to be available to just landowners. And that is going to be...
We need a web developer anyway.
Yeah.
We need a web developer. But
just so people know, I've never made a website before.
And I've got very minimal experience, but Chris and I are still churning them out the best we can.
Multiverse is my hello world of website making.
Yeah, so we do need to get a grip on that, and it is something that we need to address. And obviously, not everybody on the team can jump up and do everything. There are different code bases, there are different types of things. So, yes, it is something that's important. Yes, we want to enable that, but at the same time, coming into the app and enjoying the app is a big part of it. One of the things that I'm always very cautious of is we don't want to end up like somewhere like Decentraland, where there's only a handful of users in the app because everybody's just doing stuff with 2D web pages. And that's not the point of this. This is about creating a place that has value in being in it as much as anything else. So we're not saying no, we're just saying it's potentially not quite as high up for everybody as it is for you, Pirate. And while we appreciate that, it is likely that things will get done, just can't tell you when.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, gentlemen, that is the end of our AMA. It was lovely chatting with you as always, and it's been extra special having Ben. I can't guarantee Ben will be in all of our future AMAs, but maybe when we have one about the special project in the future. We'll have a special Ben in AMA. So
We should make him be in all of them.
okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, Ben. Just have to sit through it quietly in the corner. It's fine. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Ask some of the really, really tough questions that even you daren't ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
Diddy.
Exactly. Right. Thank you for everyone for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you all.
The VODs will be available on our YouTube page and in the update room after the AMA finishes. But it's been lovely speaking to you. If you have any questions that you want us answering after this AMA, please post them right at the top in the community topics area, and we do read